Our single best chart, Brendan.
On a rainy day, go to cash. But now also when the sun shines. That is the subject of today's single best chart. All right, so this is a fund manager survey from B of A Merrill Lynch. Tom, what you're seeing there is that you're tracking on the white, that's an index, and the gray in the background is the cash that they have said they're holding in surveys. In the past, when equities go down, cash goes up. Right
I'm
now,
shocked.
We've got equities up and cash up. Explain, please.
Well, there it is. It's a rare occurrence. It's also a very important rule. When cash builds up, they usually end up putting this to work. We are fortunate, and this is Robert Dahl's absolute and total wheelhouse. He is with us this morning. Michael Hart, you and I know, is worshipped at Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. So here we are at 4.5% cash. We're not at 7% cash. By prospectus, long-only managers have to be in equities. So 4.5% cash is a lot of cash.
Yes, it is. There's no question about it. And of course, as you point out, an absolute amount, it's a very big amount of cash. There's caution everywhere.
When you're on the road, when you're talking to Nuveen people, you feel that caution.
Oh, absolutely. It's deer in the headlights, and it's also caution. I don't understand the world where the market's up a lot. I've got this cash. I feel like I've missed it. Bull markets don't end when people are cautious and concerned. They end when everybody says, why don't I have more of this thing called equity?
I mean, when you look at this and you look at the big blue chips and dividend growth, and you go, how does the cash get deployed?
Can we fire that chart again? Because I want to take another look at it. You know, we're looking at so in the past, it's been such an obvious inverse relationship. But then watching the slow growth of this bull market, Bob Dahl, that's what I don't understand. What's different about the beginning of this bull market?
Well, what's different is the recession that preceded it. It wasn't the usual, we had an inflation problem, the Fed put a foot on the brakes, brought us into a recession, we turned around and had a typical recovery. A lot of people still think we're in a recession. So the caution, you know, tough to, at least until recently, to find a job. My neighbor lost his job, my kid can't find a job. I mean, this is what fosters this uncertainty, this conservatism, this concern, this, are we ever going to come back?
We're still not in a normal world. You know, looking at that's the transition from Newtonian physics to particle physics. We're still in this thing we don't completely understand. We're waiting for it to get back to Newtonian.
Yes, yes, and we won't this cycle, is my guess. It won't be till the next cycle that we say, you know, there is some normalcy again. This is a very abnormal period.
How cheap are the big, ugly blue chips? I mean, everybody's in Netflix. We're going to talk about Netflix and Amazon in the next hour. Just 20 years ago today, you bought your first Amazon thing, right?
Was it 20? It was
I think it was 20 years ago today.
Well, and that was 20 years ago. There's a great story in Brad Stone's book. We're going to be talking to Brad Stone where they cheered when the first person they didn't know
ordered a book.
Amazon.
Yes.
It was the first time it wasn't somebody's mom.
Those valuations.
Let's just pick perhaps a neutral name, Microsoft.
Okay.
A yield higher than the 10-year Treasury bond.
With all that cash built.
With all that, and the dividend's going to grow because they have the cash, they have the cash flow, and there are a whole long list of stuff.
Pressure from Capital Guardian Trust, Fidelity, Nuveen, all the others, one of them, to say, hey guys, give it back to us.
Well, there is that pressure. I mean, let's go to Apple Computer. You know, somebody stepped up and said, you know what, you got all this cash, you got all this cash flow, why don't you give us a little bit more? And they did. And I think they've benefited from that.
Okay.